Hello and welcome to the August edition of Speakout, and I'm your host Lois Kanashiki, and today's program is about school choice in Blair County. And the reason for having this program today was because one of our local schools had the distinction of falling in the bottom 15% of performing schools in Pennsylvania on the PSSA test scores. So we're going to talk about new options that have opened up for those families to get those children into a different school if they choose to do that. So I'm excited to bring to you today some special guests, which I'm going to introduce in a moment. I just have a couple of announcements. You know, on Speak Out, we always have a lot of information for you. So if you want to take a moment, grab a pencil and paper. I'm sure you're going to want to take some notes. So please take advantage of that opportunity now to do that. And I'm not going to make announcements for all the events going on in Blair County this month or next month. But if you look at the Blair Republican Women website, we always update our calendar for events and things that are going on that you might be interested in. So I highly recommend you check that out maybe once a week. BlairRepublicanWomen.com. We're also on Facebook, so you can go there and find us on Facebook if you use Facebook. And as you know, I know everyone watching Speak Out knows we have a very important election coming up, and please write the date on your calendar if you haven't already. It's Tuesday, November 6th. That's November 6th, the first Tuesday of November. Obviously, you know that there's a presidential election. The last day to register to vote is October 9th. Okay, that's your last shot, is October 9th. If you're not registered to vote by October 9th, you lost out. So please make sure if you're not registered to vote, or you know any of your friends or family members, that's the last day. Okay, so you go on the Blair Republican Women website, it'll tell you how to do that if you don't know how to do that. Now, I know you think the most important election on your ballot will be the presidential election this year, but in my opinion, the most important race going on in Pennsylvania will be for the United States Senate. And in my opinion, no matter who wins for president, we absolutely must have a more conservative Senate in the federal Congress. So I'm urging you, please, to vote for Tom Smith, who is the best candidate on the ballot for United States Senate. Only we in Pennsylvania can change this, can have this opportunity to make a change from a liberal senator, an Obama liberal senator, to a conservative Tom Smith. I've met Tom Smith several times. I met him for the first time a couple of years ago, and I will personally vouch to you that he is the most qualified candidate to serve Pennsylvania in the United States Senate. So please, not only vote for Tom Smith, but tell your friends and neighbors about him. If you go to freedomworksforamerica.org, you can help Tom Smith from that website. You can actually make phone calls from home to help Tom, to help get the word out and increase his name recognition, which is so important for a statewide race. You can do this. It won't cost you a penny. It's an unbelievable technology. I first saw the technology when I made calls for Scott Walker in Wisconsin and his team, and it's really incredible what you can do today. But the computer will help you make calls from home. It's not hard when you get on the system. I did this last night. I made about 20 calls from home, from my phone, at no cost to myself, at just the cost of your time, to help Tom Smith. So please take a look at freedomworksforamerica.org and check that out. Your help is really needed for this particular race in Pennsylvania. So I'm going to go ahead and get on to our topic today, which is educational choice for Wright Elementary and Pennsylvania as a whole. And I want to thank Dawn. This is Dawn Meling from the Commonwealth Foundation, and she came out from Pittsburgh today, right?
That's right.
Dawn works for the Commonwealth Foundation, and anybody who isn't familiar, can't imagine somebody watching my program not knowing the Commonwealth Foundation, but why don't you just tell them a little bit about the Commonwealth Foundation?
Well, we are Pennsylvania's free market think tank. We're based in Harrisburg, right down the steps from the Capitol, though I'm out in Pittsburgh. I'm fortunate to be on the western half of the state, outside of the Harrisburg bubble. And we fight for free market principles, for more freedom in Pennsylvania, and we certainly have a lot more, many opportunities for freedom here. A lot, ways that we need to go for our children, for our future.
And your organization has been out front in the whole school choice subject, and I know a lot of people really appreciate all the fighting and the work you've done, and it's really been a great resource for so many people in Pennsylvania, and we really appreciate everything that you've done, and including, of course, coming on the program today. So you've been a great resource, and if you go to their website, you'll see a lot of information on all kinds of issues, but education, you've really been out there in front.
That's right. School choice has been a huge issue for us because we see it's so critical to the future of Pennsylvania. We have a system right now that's one size fits all. Our public school system is one size fits all. It serves some very well, but not everyone. When we're spending about $15,000 a student in Pennsylvania, it's taking up a significant portion of our budget, and we're not getting a return on our investment.
Right.
And at the cost of our children's future. So we're excited to see more opportunities because it's so critical to our future.
It is, and I'm glad we're making some progress in that respect. Now, recently in the Altoona Mirror, our local paper, there was a front page story about how Wright Elementary, which is one of the elementary schools in the Altoona School District, fell into the bottom 15% of performing school districts according to the PSSA exams and from the 2010-2011 school year, I believe. So as a result of that, the parents who are in that district qualify for additional educational opportunities at maybe minimal expense or no expense, depending on the situation.
That's right. We have a great program in Pennsylvania for opportunity scholarships to allow parents to select the school of choice for their children if their child is not being well served by the public school in which their zip code has condemned them to. And what's wonderful is that this program has been successful over the past 10 years, the Educational Improvement Tax Credit Program. It serves about 40,000 students throughout the state of Pennsylvania, and thousands are turned away every year. There's a huge demand from parents to take this scholarship. These scholarships, the average amount is about $1,100, so it's also a huge tax savings for taxpayers as well. The scholarships are funded completely by business donations, so it's not affecting the public education funding as well. And we have expanded that program. The legislature just a couple months ago passed some really important legislation that increases the amount of money that can go into that program, which means more scholarships and more students can take advantage of it. And then they also created kind of a separate pot of where scholarship funds can go, which gives preference to the lowest 15% performing schools. And that's where Wright Elementary School falls in. So this was created, an additional $50 million can go into this, funded by business donations for students in those lowest performing school districts, which means those that are most critically in need of getting a better school have that much more opportunity. And that's right, the scholarships, the amount is determined by the scholarship organization that awards it. It's not determined by politicians in Harrisburg. Preference is given based on lower income families as well. So the scholarships can be awarded, lower income families might need more of the money, it might cover their whole tuition. The scholarships can go up to $8,500 for a student, or $15,000 for a special needs student, but it also can't exceed tuition. So if you're attending a Catholic elementary school where the average cost is about $3,500, that's all that scholarship is going to take, which means more money available for more students.
So now, you said these programs will give preference to students within the Wright Elementary District.
That's right. There's a separate
preference.
Yeah, there's a separate fund of opportunity scholarships that's just for students in the bottom 15% performing schools, like Wright Elementary School. So the Wright Elementary School students are applying for scholarships. They aren't competing with students throughout the Commonwealth. They're just applying for scholarships along with students in those bottom 15% performing schools. So it's a significantly smaller pool, and that's why those funds are targeting that area.
And the school district is required by law to notify the parents who live in that area that this opportunity is available.
That's right. That's right. The Department of Education spells that out and requires the school districts. And if you aren't certain, you can go to the PA Department of Education website for the full list. You can also go to commonwealthfoundation.org. We've got the links there as well in our school choice information.
Okay. So, but we don't know the date by which the schools have to send those letters out. We were talking about that before.
Right. There's a lot of new information as the program has grown just real recently. 10-year-old program, but some pretty significant changes just since the end of June. So it seems that everyone's kind of adapting along with it. And I think but we're already seeing the expansion of the broader tax credit program. Those additional funds have already been snatched up, so the demand is, people are already jumping upon it, and more schools are being added to the list every day that are taking Opportunity Scholarship students. So it's quickly evolving.
Yes, actually after the break we are going to have 2 additional guests to come on, speak out and talk about schools that are receiving the scholarship, schools you can apply to get a scholarship funding if you qualify, and they're going to talk more about their schools and the program from their perspective. So so that'll be good to hear from them as well. So now also to clarify for the parents that you don't have to necessarily have been attending Wright Elementary to get the same preference. You can, as long as you live in that district. So if you were homeschooling your child and you live in that district, or you're attending a charter school, or you're already attending a private school, you can still qualify for these programs.
That's right. You just have to be within that district.
In that district, and you have to apply.
That's right.
Nobody's going to come to you asking you if you want it.
That's right. There's many great scholarship organizations that are the ones that are giving out the scholarships from the business taxes, donations. And
as far as the amount that's awarded, it depends on the scholarship organization then, and it depends on whatever their rules that they have set up.
Right. Right.
And does the state have rules on on what the parameters are for their requirements? Like, does the state say, well, people under a certain income level, you have to give them a full scholarship or anything like that? Or
no, what's great about this is that it's not politicians in Harrisburg determining what should and should not be given to any given family. It's the scholarship organizations. Now, with the structure of the program, there are preferences given. There are income requirements. There's an income threshold. Currently, it's about $60,000, and then additional funds per dependent child. And that's actually going to increase.
$60,000 household income.
Household income.
Right.
And going forward, that's going to increase to $75,000 plus $15,000 per dependent child. So really expanding the pool of people that will be able to benefit from this. And in the Opportunity Scholarship program, preferences given to the lower income families or students that have received a scholarship in the prior year. So there are some parameters, but as far as if they're giving you a whole scholarship for tuition or just a portion of it, that's based on the scholarship organization and how they determine it. And again, other than it can't exceed what the actual tuition is at the school.
And I just lost my train of thought there. But and then we haven't even talked about there's also the cyber charter schools, which also people always have the opportunity to take advantage of that. That is really completely separate from this program.
That's right. Pennsylvania, it's wonderful every year we see more and more students taking advantage of different options. It's not a one size fits all doesn't work for everyone, and we're having more and more options for parents to find the best education that fits their child's needs. So we have charter schools and cyber charter schools, which are done at home. So we have brick and mortar schools, charter schools, and the ones that are done at home on the computer. And those are considered public schools. So you don't need an Opportunity Scholarship to attend one of of those schools or to attend the cyber charter school at home. That's another option that more and more people are finding really suit their needs best. And this year, 1 in 5 students in Pennsylvania in K to 12 attend a school of choice, whether it's homeschool, a charter school, cyber charter, or private. So parents are really, they're excited and demanding more choices and more options.
That's really incredible that many families are taking advantage of it, but it just goes to show you that there is like you said, there is a demand, and that's even without really any financial encouragement. I mean, people have, for the most part, done this on their own, even though they're still supporting financially the public school system.
That's right.
They're not getting any tax break for doing something else, for paying extra to go to a private school or homeschooling, and they're still choosing to do that.
That's right. Parents are still paying taxes that fund the $15,000 per child that we spend in our public school system, whether or not they're choosing to educate their child at home or at a private school where they're paying additional tuition often. And this really speaks to how much demand there is for alternatives, and also that so many schools of choice that parents are choosing to send their school to, as opposed to just being assigned to, are educating children for a fraction of the price that our public schools are. And parents want to send their schools to these children by choice, paying taxes and tuition in many cases to do so.
That $15,000, that's an average. That's not every school district,
right?
That's
the average of Pennsylvania, right. So you have many school districts that are spending more than $15,000 per student.
I think in Philadelphia it's a lot higher.
Yeah, in our urban areas, in Pittsburgh as well, you're seeing upwards of $20,000.
Because I think in our area it's closer to 12, between 12 and 13, depending on the school district.
Right, right. It varies across the school districts, and yeah, you're seeing some very high numbers as well in areas closer to where I live.
Now, I'm curious. Now, for homeschooling in some of these cyber charter schools, the public schools are required to take the students if they want to participate, like in sports. Is there any requirement like that with these opportunity scholarships if they go to another school that I guess it'll be whatever arrangement already exists with those private schools?
Right. It wouldn't be affecting the arrangements that already exist with these schools.
Because I know that private schools have made arrangements with some of the public school districts about sharing athletic programs and so forth, and so that's something that. And we're talking about for the most part elementary students here, so it's not as applicable. So our EITC credit program, the program that funds these scholarships, started 10 years ago.
That's right.
And according to your website, it was helping 40,000 students, about 40,000 students across the state already. About
40,000 students are already taking advantage of this program. The average scholarship is $1,100. Again, that's compared to the $15,000 that is being spent per child in our public schools. So this is a huge tax savings as well for us. And the average income of those receiving the scholarships is less than $30,000 per household. So you're really seeing it's not just the wealthy taking advantage of scholarships to send their kids to a private school. You're seeing that parents in some of the worst areas are able to take advantage of this.
The parents who really need it the most.
That's right.
Who don't have options.
That's right.
And one of the school programs, the scholarship programs in Philadelphia, your website said it turns away 7,000 applicants per year.
That's right. It's just goes to show how much demand there is for choices, for options. Schools in Philadelphia, there are many schools that are among the most violent in our states, where parents are desperate to get their child to a safer, better school, but because of the 5 digits in their zip code, there may be a great school around their corner, but they can't get into it. Well, these opportunity scholarships provide a lifeline to these students whose lives and safety are literally compromised when they walk in that school door. This is a lifeline that allows them to attend a safer, better school of choice, to have a safer, better future for their sake and at a blessings and savings for all of us.
Well, a savings not just now, but in the future. If a child doesn't receive a decent education, they don't have a future. and they're more likely to result to crime and wind up in prison, and that costs us even more money down the road.
Absolutely.
Because we spend maybe 3 times as much as we spend on the public school housing a person in prison. Between going in and out of prison, and then once you have a record, then it's even harder.
That's right. We spend $35,000 a year per inmate in every state prison here in Pennsylvania. So when we provide a $3,500 or $6,500 opportunity scholarship for them to attend a safer, better school of choice, where because they are choosing that school, they're setting themselves up for a brighter future that is going to it increases their chances for success, and also as taxpayers, we see a massive payout from that small scholarship that didn't cost us.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to continue with Dawn Meling from Commonwealth Foundation, and we're also going to have 2 new guests who are going to talk to you about local programs that you might be able to benefit from to help your children get into give you some educational options for your children at Wright Elementary, or maybe even another public school. So we'll be right back.
Uno smoke detector. That's me, Seymour Smoke. If you don't have a working smoke detector in your house or apartment, you could end up being smoked. So you gotta make sure you check me out at least once a month. Just push my button here. That sound tells you I'm working. So be cool about fire safety. Tell your moms and pops to have at least one smoke detector.
Gotta be cool. Be cool about fire safety.
Safe food, a prescription for a healthy life. Always wash your hands with soap and water before preparing food. Avoid mixing raw foods with cooked foods, and wash your hands when you switch from one type of food to another. Make sure that the surfaces where you are going to prepare the food, for example cutting boards, are absolutely clean. Protect food and kitchen areas against contact with bugs, pets, and other animals. Safeguarding food during its preparation is safeguarding your health.
During the 50th anniversary commemoration of the Korean War, we pause to honor and thank our Korean War veterans, both living and dead, and their families for their service and sacrifice. We must remember the past and learn from it to ensure a better tomorrow. I'm James Garner. A grateful nation remembers.
Hello, welcome back to the August edition of Speak Out, and I'm Lois Kanashiki. And today we're talking about, the inspiration for our program today was the Wright Elementary School announcement that Wright Elementary fell into the bottom 15% performing schools in the state, elementary schools on the PSSAs, which now gives the families that are in that area, it gives them opportunities to qualify for scholarships to apply for a different school. So we've been talking to Diane Meling from the Commonwealth Foundation, which you should check out if you haven't before, and they've been in the forefront of the school choice issue in Pennsylvania and have helped us out with that. And I have to my right, Tony DeGol from the Altoona-Johnstown Diocese. Thank you, Tony.
Thank you for doing this show. It's very important.
Yes, it is very important, and we appreciate you coming on. I have to tell them later how you came on such short notice.
Glad to be here. Thank you for the opportunity.
And we have Kim Salyards, who is the superintendent for the Great Commission School in Altoona.
Yes.
And Kim, your school is K through 12?
It is. Mm-hmm.
K through 12. And you've been superintendent for a little over a year?
Yes.
And but you've been with the school a lot longer than that.
Yeah, about 11 years now. I was a teacher and a principal, and then now superintendent.
Okay, so you must know your school pretty well.
I'm getting there, yeah.
What grades did you teach?
I taught high school classes like geometry and biology and anatomy and physiology.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. So did you teach anywhere else before Great Commission, or?
I taught at Providence Academy in Hollidaysburg, which closed.
Right, that one's closed.
Right, yeah.
So how big is Great Commission School?
We have about 135 students, K to 12. Mm-hmm. We also have a preschool that meets at another building, which is kind of a feeder for our kindergarten.
And where is it located?
It's on 6th Avenue, 1100 6th Avenue. We actually have the old BG building, which has been through a few companies. So it's interesting to take parents through there that went there. They're remembering when they went to school there. But it's an excellent building, and we're able to separate by floors our elementary students, our middle school students, and our high school students. So.
And are you going to be having any open houses between now and the beginning of school, or have you already done that?
We have already done that. We really are open every day now between now and then, so we've had a lot of people calling. We almost always have people call late summer making late summer decisions, but we're glad to take people around. We have a back to school night on August 27th. We actually start the 29th, but Monday night is Meet the Teacher night, which we could easily accommodate new families to come take a tour through. So.
Okay, that's August 27th?
Yes.
And are your schools all starting in the same day, or
Not all
depends
of them
on?
start the same day, but that last week of August.
Okay, because I was just going through the list here from the State Department website. I want to read you the list of schools that are participating in this Opportunity Scholarship Program, and Great Commission School in Altoona was the first school on the list, and so I was thankfully able to speak with Mrs. Salyards about coming on Speakout today, and that's it's a private school, and the normal cost for elementary is $3,500 per year. Mm-hmm. Now, do you know your scholarship program? Do you know how that's going to work as far as will you be offering full scholarships to some families or partial scholarships, or do you know how that's going to work?
Well, our families fill out an application, and we work with the Central Pennsylvania Community Foundation for our scholarship monies. And we actually had to put on the website for the Opportunity Scholarship, put amounts for what our tuition was, so everyone knew what that was. So families are putting that amount, and I believe, if I'm understanding it correctly, it's really up to the Community Foundation. If they have the money, then families can expect a full scholarship for the rest of their students' career too. It will go through 12th grade. They're entitled, if I'm understanding that right.
If there's money available.
If there's money available, right.
Yeah.
But they're promising, that's what they're saying. So
your school has really no control over this scholarship money, just so the parents understand.
We direct the families to apply, and then we wait to hear, kind of like they do.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's different probably scholarship amounts they would qualify for depending on their financial situation?
Well, that I'm not sure of. I think since we're really just dealing with elementary students, they are going to request our full elementary tuition. And then if the money's there, I think they should get that amount. Okay. Which, again, is significantly less than what they're entitled to, so they're still saving several thousands of dollars.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I guess they don't have to give a full scholarship. I guess it's up to the organization. Is that how it works, Dawn? I mean,
the scholarship organizations are the ones that determine the amount, and that would be them, working with the families and the schools to determine the amount. But there's not a set amount, or if you have you can only qualify.
Probably go through that state guidelines too, where if you're in that 60,000 range, and then plus however many children, that they give a higher. If you
fall there, you're given preference for sure.
Yeah. So,
and the families do provide their last year's tax information so that the foundation knows that.
So
from the beginning.
How many? You said you already know that you've already gotten quite a few calls.
Oh my word! We had someone knock on the door last week, like the day that we applied online. I don't even think it showed up online.
Someone from Wright Elementary.
Yes, walked by and knocked on the front door. So we've had probably 5 or 6. I've had 5 or 6 people stop in and get the application. More calls than that, but really every day we're kind of trying to keep one step ahead of the families because they're all concerned, obviously, and we want to try to be able to help as many people as we can.
Right, we don't have a lot of time.
It's great for us too. We're so glad to get families, and they're all worried. I'd be worried too. What am I going to do?
What is your student-teacher ratio there?
In elementary, it's about 8 to 1.
Oh wow!
8 kids to 1. We actually have very small elementary classes. Larger. I mean, our biggest class is only 20. Like our juniors, we have about 20 juniors.
And do you have one teacher per grade?
Per grade, we do. Yeah, no combined classes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. Now, in your, you have a different scholarship foundation, Tony, right? I had copied this down from the internet,
We have
the Second Century.
Scholarship Fund, which was founded in 2001, and over the past 11 years, it has handled funds through the EITC program. So now it'll just incorporate this new scholarship program as well.
Now, all these schools on here, I have Hollidaysburg Catholic School, which is K through 8,
Yes.
and St. John's in Lakemont, St. Matthew's in Tyrone, St. Patrick's in Newry, St. Rose of Lima in Altoona. Okay, that's it in Blair County. You probably have some in Johnstown also,
We
right?
do.
But people
Well,
here
we
in
have-
Johnstown won't be seeing this
We
show.
have 20 elementary schools throughout the diocese. And
Okay.
all of them are going to be participating in this. They've
Okay.
all been cleared.
All right.
So here in Altoona, as we've been talking, Wright Elementary is on the bottom 15% list. There are 2 schools in Johnstown
Right.
that also made the list, and 1 in Somerset County.
Okay.
And we have Catholic elementary schools in all those areas. So any of the students from those 4 schools will be able to turn to our schools as an option.
Okay, I want to give them the phone number to call if they're interested in applying. If you're interested in applying to one of the Catholic schools, the phone number is 695-5577, and you can get this on the internet, but I'm going to read it again. It's 695-5577.
That is the number for our Diocesan Development Office, which oversees the Second Century Scholarship Fund. So certainly people can call there for
Okay.
more information. But I would also suggest that if you're a parent, for instance, if you're the parent of a Wright elementary school student, there are 3 Catholic elementary schools here in Altoona: Altoona Central Catholic, St. Rose of Lima, and St. John the Evangelist, which is in the Lakemont section. You can simply call those schools
Okay.
and speak with the principals as well.
The Central Catholic wasn't on the list yet, I guess.
Altoona Central Catholic School right there.
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed that one.
That's fine.
Because Bishop Guilfoyle is on here too, because I didn't understand that. I was talking to Dawn before the show. I didn't understand why Bishop Guilfoyle was on the list when it was an elementary school that fell into that.
All of our schools applied to participate in this, and they've all been accepted. But as far as the Wright Elementary School students, the 3 options in Altoona would be Altoona Central Catholic, St. John the Evangelist in Lakemont, and St. Rose of Lima in Altoona. So parents can call those principals between now and the start of the school year for more information. Obviously, the first step would be to fill out the financial application paperwork.
So the diocese has been doing this for 10 years under
Absolutely.
EITC.
Correct.
And you've been serving what kind of families? Low income?
Predominantly low income, yes.
But are there other kinds of situations you've been able to help besides like special needs children, or have been besides low income, or is that
I think it's primarily low income.
okay?
So we've been going with this since 2001, and I can tell you that 20% of our school student population receives funding through EITC.
Wow.
So it's a huge impact in our diocese, and now we're hoping that it will grow with the new Opportunity Scholarship Fund.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the amount of money's doubled in Harrisburg because we went from 75 million to 150 million in 1 year. So that's that's a good thing that we've expanded the opportunities for low income.
Thousands. Yeah, and we're going to see anywhere from 20 to 60,000 more students in Pennsylvania be able to receive scholarships to attend a school of choice because of the fact that they doubled the threshold that businesses can donate into.
And I
Right.
can tell you that every year we turn countless students away.
Do you?
And businesses as well that want to
Businesses that want to
That's
contribute,
right.
Another
right?
important fact, we get complaints all the time from businesses who want to contribute.
Well,
That cap, they hit that cap
Yeah, well, we
right
failed.
away.
We had applied. My husband contributes through his business, and we failed the first time because there was a record number of applications. We failed the first time. Well, he was late getting it in. That was his fault. but then we had a second opportunity with the Opportunity Scholarship, and
Right.
then we did qualify. And now through that, his business will be. We're very happy that we'll be able to donate for the Wright Elementary students. So that's a very exciting opportunity.
I can tell you that just, as you were saying at Great Commission, our phones have been ringing off the
Oh,
hook.
my.
It has just been, you can tell by talking to the receptionist in our education office, she's been exasperated for the past week. So people are really interested in this.
Yeah, absolutely. So now in your schools, I know there's a lot of schools on the list, but what would the average student-teacher ratio be, or does it vary widely?
It varies widely. We have some elementary classrooms with maybe only 10 to 15 students, and then we have some with 30.
I know-
It varies.
I know-
Our larger schools, for instance, Our Lady of Victory and State College, they're each grade has 2 separate classrooms. It's that big.
Wow,
But then we have
okay.
other classrooms in smaller schools, smaller communities.
Right.
You know, like I said, 10, 12, 15
Well, St.
students.
John's, I know they combine some grades.
They've always operated
They've always
that
done
way.
that
Grades 1
way.
and 2 are together, 3 and 4.
But I
5
know
and
people
6.
who've gone there who've loved it, you know.
It works for them. And it's not something that they did out of need. It was something they felt
They
was very
chose.
practical many years ago.
Right.
Some of our schools do it now because it just makes more sense. But St. John's has always done that, and it's
Well,
worked for them.
I'm in favor of, I like combining grades. I don't think it's healthy to pigeonhole children by their exact birthday so much. I think it's artificial. I don't think we live like that as adults. Why do we have children learn that way? But that's another topic for another day.
It really works for them. You know, I sometimes I visit that school, and it seems so odd to me because I grew up in the very traditional
Yes,
classroom.
we all did, most of us.
And but it works for them, and it's been good.
Yeah, I've heard good things about a lot of the local schools, but it varies by family, because I had heard parents, move from one private school to another private school, or from a private school to the public school, move all around. But most of the parents that I've talked to are parents that had options because they were financially able. It's these tax credits that give parents that have never had options before, finally gives them, and they're the people that need them the most in many cases.
And that's what this is all about. I mean, we've been saying all along now for more than a year, as you and I know, we've been talking about this for a while. It's about giving families a choice. We're not saying that public education is bad. We're not saying
Right.
that the teachers there are bad. Quite the opposite. We have wonderful schools, wonderful teachers. But the public school doesn't work for every student. And how sad is it for parents if they're in that situation, but they don't have the financial resources for an alternative?
Any given
This gives
school
them
would
that.
not work for every single student. That's the
Right.
point, is that
Sure.
in anything in life, we want people to have, that's what America is supposed to be, the land of the free. We believe in choice and options and freedom, but
Absolutely.
we've denied that in some of the most important areas of our lives,
And that's why
unfortunately.
I think I get so upset when I hear opponents of this complaining that we're taking money away from our public schools. It's not about money for public schools. It's about doing what's right for our kids.
That's right. Yeah. Education funding is about funding the child, not funding a system. And some kids are really well served by Wright Elementary School, and they're going to continue to be so. But now this gives those that haven't been, it gives them options, and it gives them a better chance for success, a brighter future. It helps out taxpayers. It helps out all the schools as we increase competition, as the schools have to prove to parents why their school is the best for their child. They have to prove it, and parents can choose.
It's a
Absolutely.
win-win for everyone. I don't know why anyone would be
Absolutely.
opposed to
Right.
I see it that way,
such a
too.
system.
Yes, I agree. I think it is a win. And we're going to come back. We're going to talk a little bit more about some of the options that parents will have in a minute when we come back from this break.
Time.
Now's the time to make a difference,
Now's the time to take a stand,
to get involved.
to make a change,
Now's the time to raise a hammer and drive a nail,
to build a wall.
and open a door to a new life.
Now's the time to help Habitat for Humanity build hope and change lives with a family in your community or around the world.
Now's the time.
Now, more than ever, help build it.
Visit Habitat.org.
Think about your mother, your sister, your girlfriend. 1 in 6 women is a victim of sexual assault. Now think about your father, your brother, your best friend. Men are victims too. In fact, 1 in 33 are. Rape can happen to anyone. Call the National Sexual Assault Hotline at 1-800-656-HOPE to learn how to support someone you love.
Something about, we'll talk about it anyway. Hi, this is Lois Konashiki back with Speak Out, and we're talking about school choice and the new exciting opportunity with the Opportunity Scholarships. We've doubled at the state level. We've doubled the scholarship opportunity for families who really need it to get out of public schools where it's not serving their children, specifically here in Altoona at the Wright Elementary, where the school fell in the bottom 15% of performing schools on the state standardized tests. So we've got Tony DeGol here from the Altoona-Johnstown Diocese, and there are many of the Catholic schools on the lists that qualify for the scholarship programs. And Kim Salyards from Great Commission School, the only private school, non-Catholic school on the list. And Kim, I wanted to ask you to tell our viewers a little bit more about your school is a small school compared to what most people are used to with public schools.
Sure.
And but that doesn't necessarily tell people much about what the educational opportunity is there. But how would you describe your opportunity there at Great Commission?
Well, a student coming maybe from a public school can expect smaller classroom size, obviously, but we really have a very loving and caring family environment, like any school. We're the home of the Bears. We're the Great Commission Bears, and you'll see that on our hallways. And we have a traditional school building, which is familiar to most students, self-contained classrooms. We have a great curriculum. Last year, we have small classes, so we graduated 15 kids, 14 of them are going to college. And to the 15th one, I was actually just talking to you about her. She has her own business, so she already had her business established. So we really, sometimes I think people think, if your student goes to a private Christian school, they're not going to go to college or anything, but we have a very high college entrance acceptance rate, very academic program. We have a complete science lab when kids get to high school. So really parents can expect an excellent education with that. We have the space and the time to tailor it more to each student, which is really encouraging.
Now, do your students take standardized tests?
We give a standardized test to grades 3, 5, 8, and 11, but not the PSSA. It's a different standardized test.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the Terra Nova. We actually just changed to the Terra Nova 3.
Okay, because I can't believe the amount of time that they spend in the public school teaching to the test. I mean, they spend weeks preparing for the PSSAs. Yeah. It seems like such a waste of time. And a lot of parents, complain about that, and teachers complain about that.
Sure.
And everyone complains about that. So
it's exhausting.
The fact that you don't have to do that,
we don't, right?
Is that's added time you can spend teaching real material.
Right. And we're confident that just shows up then on the standardized tests that we give, because of course that's valuable to parents, and they want to know that their students are progressing. And we use the data to make our education better and our curriculum better, but we're not really tied down to it in the way that the PSSA does.
Right.
So,
do the Catholic schools take the PSSAs?
We don't take those. We have other standardized tests, most commonly the Iowa tests, and again, we have the students take the test every year, but I don't think it monopolizes multiple weeks the way that the other state testings do. So we do have those performance tests, which is another criticism I have. The opponents say that our schools aren't held to those standards. There's no accountability. Well, we do have the testing, and our students do very well in them. But again, they don't monopolize the time that the PSSAs take.
And your schools are held to the ultimate level of accountability, which is parents choosing to continue to send their child to your school. Whereas our public school system, which does take the PSSA exams, those parents aren't given a choice. If they're in that 5-digit zip code, that's where they're going if they don't have the means to get out.
If parents aren't happy with our schools, they can immediately change and not have the tuition bill. So you're right, we are accountable every day.
Now, what has happened to some of these? Have you ever had parents that take these they were the EITC scholarships and decide that the school wasn't right for them and they want to change again? And then, what happens?
I'm not aware of that. Yeah. I'm not saying it hasn't happened, but I'm not aware of that.
I guess they just would not apply for the money the following year.
Right.
So, what other, are there any other main things you can think that would differentiate your school from a public school?
Well, for our school, obviously, it's a Christian worldview, so we are free to teach that God made the world, and we understand what all truth comes from him, and that's how we understand science and how we understand the history of our nation and things like that. So that's, of course, a big plus, because that's important to us and our families. In our elementary grades, Bible is incorporated into the curriculum. They do some memorization.
That's interesting.
And then at the middle and high school level, it's not so much a class as a foundation for everything that we teach. Why do we learn math? Well, God is a God of order, and he has put principles in the universe that play out in our lives. So I lost what I was going to say. I was going to say something else there, but yeah, so that's obviously a distinction that's very important to us. Oh, I know. I was going to say we represent really over 50 different churches, which is kind of unique to our school because we're not church affiliated, so we're independent, and we really try to respect. We certainly have some Catholic families. We have families from all different kinds of churches, so we respect people's personal takes on, or maybe some doctrinal issues. So we really try to major on the majors and let families in particular churches work out the minor differences that we have. So, yeah.
And do the families sign anything, or do you require them to sign any kind of statement of faith when they come to school?
Right, we have a basic statement of faith that families sign that they agree to, which again really just majors on the majors, and it's just basic truths that we all agree with.
And in the Catholic schools, you have non-Catholic students attending, families, don't you?
Oh, absolutely.
Sure.
You don't require them to be Catholic?
No, not at all. In fact, at Bishop Guilfoyle, I attended their graduation ceremonies this year, and I was amazed how many students were not Catholic.
Right.
Really?
Right.
And they fit very well into that environment. It's an environment where Jesus Christ is at the center of everything. Prayer opens the day, it closes the day. Students have the opportunity to go to Mass. There are reconciliation opportunities throughout the year. There are religion classes built into the curriculum. People seem to really thrive in that environment. Again, it's not for everyone, but for those who want to be part of that, it's a wonderful, wonderful opportunity. I know a young man who is entering his senior year at Bishop Guilfoyle Catholic High School. He was in the public schools up until his junior year, and so last year was his first at Bishop Guilfoyle. And he just, when I ask him, when I run into him and say, how do you like it? I mean, he just is bouncing off the walls with enthusiasm. He loves the fact that you can mention Jesus Christ, that you can pray. Again, he liked his...
That's very frustrating to a lot of families.
He liked his public school education, but his faith is very important to him.
Sure.
And now he has that environment. And believe me, if you could meet him and talk to him, and all you have to say is, how do you like it? It's like a small child on Christmas morning. There's just joy in his eyes and his voice. And
is he getting a scholarship?
I don't know that. I don't know that.
I remember years back, I don't know if you remember this, in Hollidaysburg, there was a graduating senior. I think she was even on the O'Reilly Factor, but she was a valedictorian, and she wanted to mention God in her speech, and they told her that she couldn't. And I'm not really sure do you remember that?
Vaguely.
I'm not really sure what happened with that, but she was was interviewed by Bill O'Reilly. It was a big to-do. She just wanted to give thanks to God in her personal graduation speech, and to deny that. I mean, you're not even in the classroom. To me, it was just such a ridiculous situation that this young woman couldn't express her faith in a graduation talk.
Well, that's certainly not an issue in our schools, and it's certainly
right.
not an
I was
issue
just
in
going
your
to say,
schools.
to contrast that, if you're having a bad day, I think our students would tell you one of the most important things is they know a teacher will stop and pray with them. Ask them how they're doing. Our kids put scriptures in each other's boxes as encouragements, and we really are a family that cares for each other. So.
And in our elementary schools, certainly, also the high schools, but certainly the elementary schools, our parish priests are right there. So they're very, very much a presence in the classrooms. They eat lunch with the kids. They're out on the playground with them. They attend their sporting events, their drama productions, and the kids love that. You can't imagine. At my parish, my pastor every day makes a point of eating lunch with the students, and they fight. Like each classroom fights over who's going to get him.
Oh, sure.
And I think, what a good influence that he is on them. In just very subtle ways, just by being there. He's not there forcing anything on them.
It's more community-oriented.
Yes, but they're looking to him. He's a role model for them. If they need someone to talk to, they know he's there or down the hall. It's wonderful for these kids.
That is great. More of the family type of environment and a more supportive environment versus, sometimes in the public school, the teachers are afraid, they're afraid they can't even, interact in certain ways. You have to be careful about everything because of, issues with liability or whatever. And I think in Hollidaysburg, they were just going to pass a new policy that the teachers can't interact with the kids in social media, like on Facebook or something, which is, I suppose it's a good policy, but it's just, that separation where we're afraid. Everyone's afraid of one thing or another. We don't want to be afraid. Right. Your kids are there all day, and you want to be able to trust people, and you want to know that the right thing is going on, and they're getting the best opportunity that you can provide for them.
Our Director of Education, Sister Donna Marie Leiden, always has a saying, if parents would come and visit our schools, there would be no question in their mind about where they're going to send their students. And I'm sure the same is true of your schools. Yeah. I think parents really owe it to their kids to investigate what options are out there.
Absolutely.
And choose the one that fits their child the best.
Actually, I did that myself a few years ago. My daughter's now in public school, but I homeschooled her for many years. At one point, we were sort of considering maybe allowing her to go to a different school. And I went and visited 2 schools in the area, and I'm not going to mention their names, but I really was appalled at things I saw, and I said, nope. End of conversation. And I didn't explore every opportunity, but it was a couple of opportunities, and I went and especially if it's a public school, you're paying taxes. As a taxpayer, you have the right to request to go in, and not to just come in unannounced, but to request to come in and observe a class. And that's what I said. I want to come in and observe a typical day. Don't give me a day where they're preparing for, PSSAs or something. A typical day. I want to see what a typical day is like, and that's what I did. And it was an eye opener. It'd been a long time since I sat in a school classroom, and then I did the same thing in another school, and it was very disappointing. I mean, I thought maybe I was being too critical, too judgmental. It's like I got to give people the benefit of the doubt, but everyone should do that. You just don't know what you're going to learn. And I think
we're always glad to have visitors. Like, we have kids shadow. If they're not sure, come shadow with one of our students.
That's
spend
a
the day.
idea.
We're glad to do that.
So if parents aren't sure this year of what they want to do, maybe that's a good option for them.
Definitely.
And for
we
our
would
schools,
be glad to have
during
them.
Catholic Schools Week, most, if not all of our schools have open houses.
Right.
And that's usually the last week of January, first week of February. So we certainly invite people to take advantage of that.
Why not compare what you're already getting to something else and see the difference, and at least get an idea of it? I mean, you're not going to learn everything.
When we buy a car, we shop around.
Yeah.
When we buy a house, and obviously those are large purchases, but so is the education of our children. Do we not owe it to them to shop around and find the best situation for them?
Well, we've been taught that we don't do that. Other people do it for us. So we've brought up that way. And most people don't really give it as much thought. They just assume that, they're told the professionals know what they're doing, and leave it at that, and that, you're not qualified. They'll tell you you're not qualified to make those decisions in some cases.
I know the story. We talk about finding the best environment for kids. There was a local businessman I knew, and his child was being homeschooled. And of course, the mother wanted the homeschooling. The dad wasn't sure. The kid just wasn't seeming to thrive at all. When he met me and he knew I was affiliated with the Diocese, one of the first things he said to me was, can you set up a tour for him of Bishop Guilfoyle Catholic High School? I think if he at least just sees it, he might want to go there, and that might be enough to convince the boy's mother. And, I simply called the school and set something up, and lo and behold, the boy did decide to transfer. The mother finally agreed. And again, when I see the dad now, I always ask how the son's doing. He's thriving. He loves it.
That's great.
He just wasn't having the development that he should have as a homeschooled child. But the father noticed that when he would go to the local parish for Sunday Mass and the boy would be an altar server or be in the religious ed program there, he would seem to thrive. And now he has that environment at Bishop Guilfoyle. So I hear story after story after story of students who, once they come, they seem to thrive in our schools. Obviously, again, it's not for everyone, and maybe public schools are better for certain other children, but you owe your child the chance to
And you need to go find out what's out there, because a lot of people just don't know.
Exactly.
And I think you brought up another point that I wanted to just quickly mention, that I think people maybe think, oh, my student's not going to get to be in athletics, or not going to get the chance to put on a drama production. But, I know all of our schools have athletics, competitive athletics. We have a great fine arts program at Great Commission. We do our productions at the Mishler. So kids have all kinds of opportunities, that you need to just make yourself aware of. And we're glad to show you around and show off what we have. So
if if a parent right now is thinking they want to explore opportunities, then you would direct them to the diocese?
If they're a Wright Elementary School parent, yes, I would suggest they call one of the principals of the 3 elementary schools in Altoona, and they can get the process started. Certainly they're welcome to call us at the diocese. You can call our education office, or you can call the development office, which is the number you mentioned here, 695-5577. Christopher Ringkamp is our development director, and he can answer a lot of questions. Again, our education office, you can contact them, but I think the best bet is to probably call the school, either Altoona Central Catholic, St. Rose of Lima, or St. John the Evangelist, and talk to the principal about filling out the appropriate paperwork and getting the process started.
Okay, that's great. And what about if they want to check out Great Commission School, Kim?
Well, our phone number is 942-9710. You can stop by, right, which people have done, and you can also check out our website, which is www.greatcommissionschools with an S on the end.org. But really, call 942-9710. We're getting much better at having the answers now, but we'll be glad to help you. And we have the paperwork there that people can fill out.
Now, Dawn, these scholarships, now this year it's going to be $150 million statewide. Does that have to be renewed by the legislature every year, or is that automatic, or how is that going to work for future
Again, the
years?
funding comes from business donations, so there is a time frame which they can donate until that cap is hit. Every year so far, we've had more business want to donate than the cap even allowed.
But this program is in place until the legislature has to change it.
Right.
So it'll be the same dollar figure as far as what they'll allow into the program, the credits.
This is the same until the legislature would have to change it.
Yeah, and I know we had to go through our accountant to fill out the paperwork because he's he was knowledgeable about it. So most businesses probably want to talk to their accountant about it.
Sure, talk to your accountant, check out the Department of Education's website. You can check out CommonwealthFoundation.org for more information about school choice and what is this tax credit program as well, and we'll be happy to direct you to more resources.
Also, I would urge you to give John Eichelberger, Senator Eichelberger's office, a call and just thank Senator Eichelberger for really being a big proponent of school choice. And
Senator Eichelberger was a wonderful ally in this fight, but I would also urge any supporters of this to make sure your local representative knows how important this is, because ultimately it comes down to their votes.
Right. If you receive the program, the credits, the scholarships, or you're just in favor of it, you should call your state representatives, call your state legislators, and let them know that it's important to you, because God knows they hear from the teachers' unions, right?
Absolutely.
That they don't want these programs because they're afraid it's just going to destroy the public school system, which is ridiculous. But that's what they are told, and they get lots of really nasty phone calls from unions. So, your legislators have to hear from you when you want a program and when you agree with it, and even just to thank them for supporting something as well. It's really very important. I know I've spoken to Senator Eichelberger. He gets a lot of nasty phone calls and emails, and he really appreciates when he gets a nice one.
Well, he did the right thing here.
He really did. So, well, I want to thank all my guests today. Dawn Meling from the Commonwealth Foundation. Check out the Commonwealth Foundation website if you haven't done so, because it's a great resource, a lot of great information on a lot of topics.
That's right.
And thank you, Kim Salyards from the Great Commission School. And I wish you the best of luck with your expanding school,
Thank
which
you.
I'm sure you will
Thank
have
you.
now.
Yeah, it's coming quickly. Yeah,
Yes.
exciting.
And Tony, thank you so much for coming
My
on
pleasure.
at short notice today.
No problem.
And you're continually speaking out on school choice, which is a very important topic. And thank you all for watching the program, and we'll be repeating on Mondays at 8 p.m. and Thursdays at this time, 1 p.m. So tell your friends and neighbors to watch, and so we can all become better educated about school choice in Pennsylvania. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your summer. Have a good day.
Yeah, I think that was excellent. Yeah.
And then you got, but actually take advantage of it. So yes, Larry, I love how you put it together.
Oh, thank you. Well, I'm always
Oh,
afraid
thank you
I
for
don't
the
want to confuse
opportunity.
people
Yeah.
more than I give them, because sometimes I even get more confused the more I learn. I get,
Well, the
Well-
alpha